think it was a Thursday afternoon at our kids' school, which is Rose Park Primary School. Vic and I were leaning on the school fence, dressed in stubbies, work boots, high-vis shirts. Actually, I didn't have a high-vis shirt, you did.
Mm-hmm.
And we felt a bit out of place.
So we gravitated towards each other because we're both a couple of...
Good-looking blokes, you know.
That's it, that's what I was going to say. A couple of good-looking blokes.
He fancied me in a big way.
We were only a few men that actually picked up their kids at that time, weren't we?
Yeah,
so we thought,
it's not usual.
There's a guy, let's meet.
So Vic is a chef by trade, and he was working as a postie delivering mail because that was family-friendly hours for him and his missus. And he said one day, delivered some mail to a homebrew shop today. They had a still for sale. I'm going to buy a still and make vodka. And I said, don't bother, I've got a still. I inherited it from my grandfather. Bring your booze around and we'll distill it at my place. And a few days later he did. And we did. And here we are 30 odd years later.
And we did a really bad job. We thought this little 2-litre still with the long nose on it, condenser, would condense the alcohol, but it didn't. It just came out as vapours. Filled your whole house up.
Yeah, we're lucky not to blow ourselves up, actually.
There's a gas stove. It's full of alcohol vapour. The kids were quiet that night. I don't know why.
They thought it was their last night on.
I think so. We were wandering around we were a bit of a daze because we're breathing in alcohol, copious amounts of alcohol vapour. So, one thing led to another and we thought, this is fun. Let's keep going.
Yep, and then we went to a whiskey tasting for Adelaide whiskey and a bit of Eagle Rare, and we got hooked, basically.
We were hooked on the good stuff, the single malts.
We started with a Chivas Regal and we said, this is good stuff. Never drinking that other shit again we used to drink. And then we went from that to the Adelaide 10 and we said, never drinking that Chivas Regal again, this is far better.
That's right.
Then we had a 15-year-old and said, I'm not drinking that 10-year-old crap, I want this. Then we had an Abalura Buna and it was batch 1 or batch 2. And we actually bought a bottle and it was $100 a bottle, which was incredibly expensive in those days. But we thought it was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really nice. We thought, wow. Let's try
that's
and
how
make
we got
something.
into making whiskey, yeah.
Let's try and make something like this. This is where we want to be. And we thought, well, if the Scots can do it, Aussies can do it for sure. And if we can't, we're going to have a lot of whiskey to drink.
And a bit of fun. So then we organised to go and see Bill Lark and Patrick Maguire in Tasmania to have a look and see if it was viable and what was involved. And they were pretty friendly and they showed us around and they probably talked to each other and said, what a pair of dickheads, but they've been nice to us ever since, so maybe they didn't. And we just decided to emulate what Bill Lark was doing because we figured he was doing okay, so we couldn't do worse than copy him. And we did some research, read a lot of books, watched a lot of videos. Yeah, and here we are, 20-something years later, making world-class whiskies of our own style in Adelaide.
Yeah, and the first barrel we filled was a 50-litre cask, which is here somewhere. It's probably down on the floor behind me. And that was made with malt extract from a brew shop we bought. And just basically diluted it and distilled it and
Fermented it first.
fermented it, of course. Took 7 years in a 50-litre cask, but it came good eventually.
That was Southern Coast Distillers Batch 7.
Yeah.
And the conventional wisdom says 7 years in a small cask, history, no good. But the cask was a dud. We'd bought it from someone in Tasmania and he sold us a whole bunch of dud casks. When I say dud, they didn't leak or anything, they just had no character or flavour left in the wood to impart to them.
Tied. They
It
were
was
tied casks.
But that particular one, that's why it went 7 years in a small cask with no deleterious effect.
No. We've got some of those bottles at home somewhere.
I think Jim Murray gave it 96 points.
I think so. He thought it was great. So yeah, put the whiskey in a tight cask, you end up with something good after a really long time.
Okay, next question.
Yeah.
So, of all the stuff here, what's your favorite?
As a cask or as a blend, I think. Okay. I do like bourbon casks. Once they've hit the 4-year mark here, they actually turn and become really nice, and they're just a lovely, easy drinking whiskey. You can bet your bottom dollar that it's going to be a really nice whiskey. But predominantly, I guess we move so many barrels around. Sherry's tends to be a favourite. Interestingly enough, we come from Shiraz country, so the Shiraz casks we use aren't good on their own, but as a starter or a sweetener for the whiskey, you spend a year in a Shiraz cask, then 6 or 7 years in a bourbon cask, and you've got something really, truly magnificent.
What about rum?
We make rum because I like drinking rum. We also make rum because I like whiskies that have been aged in rum barrels. So rum barrels are a bit hard to find down here, so let's make some rum. I get to drink some rum and we get a barrel to fill with whiskey. So that was the rationale behind it. We won some trophies and some medals with our rums, and they sell quite nicely, but it's not our main focus. Our main focus is whiskey. Rum's just a bit of fun on the side.